Dayton Hypernova, the most depressingly laughable lol cow, or possibly horror cow, that I have and probably will ever cover. Dayton has been around for over half a decade now, although the majority of this time he has been under the radar. Some of my viewers have even gone so far to say that he could be the next king of the lol cows. So who exactly is Dayton Hypernova? Now, before we get into this, I just want to get one correction done. The title of this video, and further references to this individual, states that this person in question is named Dayton Hypernova. However, this is incorrect and is instead just a channel name, and is legally named Earl, but goes by the name Cade. However, with the popularisation of this figure, the incorrect name has been labelled as Dayton Hypernova, and due to this figure now being known as Dayton, I'll continue referring to them by this name. Dayton created his channel on the 29th of August 2014 and uploaded his first video a couple days later on the 2nd of September. This was a video of a band playing at a venue with Dayton recording them. This video, and many others that follow it, is completely nonsensical. For some reason there is a filter over all of them. I literally do not understand why, as it doesn't make it look any better. To add on to this confusion, Dayton keeps zooming in to random things, as well as rotating the camera around in a circle. It's just so crazy, it seems like a joke. Videos of this kind would continue until the 24th of April 2015, with Dayton uploading the video switching barbed wire dolls and Mr. Gnome Band t-shirts. This video, on the whole, is really uneventful. All it literally is Dayton changing his t-shirt. However, what is interesting about this short 40-second video is that it is the first glimpse we get to see of his face, as previously we have only been witness to his recordings of bands playing. In addition to this, we get to see his body, and it is very notable that he has a skin issue, psoriasis. He adds on to this in the description, stating, "It is a severely oppressive, rapidly increasing autoimmune disease consuming my body." Further light of this would be shown in his next video later on the same day, titled Cade Paradoxa Sweeps Up Skin from Severe Psoriasis. Now, from the title of the video, you can probably get the gist of it. However, I'm going to show you anyway. So, before I move on, I really just wanted to say how this is so indicative of lol cows. Literally nobody asked for this, Dayton just did this unprompted. After this upload, Dayton's regular uploads of bands would continue. However, every so often Dayton would upload more videos of him changing shirts, seemingly highlighting his psoriasis, almost as if it was a series, with psoriasis being at the start of the title of these videos. The next video of interest was uploaded on the 26th of November 2015, with the extremely coherent title, Older Brother Home Domestic Insanity. Now, sadly, as I don't speak lunatic, trying to figure out what is said throughout this video is immensely difficult, so instead, I'll try to give a brief summary of the video, and that is that Dayton's parents seem to be shouting at Dayton's older brother, with this being an extremely loud shouting match. Throughout the video, Dayton can be heard multiple times siding with his parents against his brother.
Thank you. He's lying. He ruined the house.
Dayton ends video, "I can't live here, these people are insane." A quote that does not age well. And also, his legal name is revealed by his father, with his name being Earl. More videos similar to this one would appear in Dayton's channel, with Dayton standing at the top of the stairs recording. However, crazy shouting at sports game 1 and crazy older brother shouting at parents 1 do not have the same amount of content, not really showing much of anything. What is interesting about one of these videos is that in the description, Dayton states, 2015 domestic dispute of my older brother who physically beats me when angered, harassing our parents around their 70s. Dayton goes a bit more in depth in this, and yet again, older brother going off about killing athletes winning a game on TV, stating that he is a racist, insane Trump supporter, and that he is insane and freeloading off their parents, and that he is a bigot, and reiterates that he beats him. Videos would continue like this until the upload of insane, bullshit, brother shouting at me in restaurant. This video starts off tame enough, with the family having what seems to be a nice lovely dinner. However, it is very noticeable that Dayton isn't really speaking throughout, except talking to himself and the camera. Well, that is until they are getting up to leave, and Dayton makes a backhanded comment about his brother. His brother, Sherman, then alleges that Dayton at one point hits him in the eye, an incident that required police intervention. After leaving the restaurant and going to the car, things escalate immensely.
The three of you are in so much deep shit.
Oh, I'm sure, Earl, I'm sure.
I mean, you're just gonna pretend like it's not real, but it is. You don't let a man beat another man. Not a man who dresses as a woman. You just don't. And you let it happen over and over and over again. And now he's saying, I hit him in the eye. I've never touched that man in the eye in my life. I'm glad I humiliated you in public.
You always do. You're in bed.
I'm always in public with you.
Every time I have to pull you off of Mom when you verbally attack her.
I've never done any of these things you have. You have...
I've had to stop you. I've had to pull you off of Mom how many times?
I've never done these things. I've never laid my hands on Mom in my entire life.
How many times you told Dad
Sherman, I've never done that.
Dad doesn't want to talk to you.
Sherman, no one's going to believe you because you're an idiot and an
don't
asshole.
know it.
You have a large fist that run into me.
Even talk to him, Sherman.
No, he just said that I've beaten you, Mom. Have I beaten you?
Well, you get in my face.
I've
and
never, oh my God, I've never done what he just said.
Okay.
The two of the three times that you have beaten me, two of the three times you have beaten
There
me.
you go. Now
Oh my God, I did this, and you're gonna act like this is a symptom of something before. No, Sherman, you are three times my size.
Sherman,
This is
Earl.
Came out of your room and violently beat me.
Oh my God, I'm so glad I have this on
video.
video.
The police showed up and you lied to them.
What did I say,
And after
Sherman?
everybody-
What did I say?
Andie came over and said, Earl, I don't want to talk to you anymore because you're so
Andie
violent.
didn't even show up. Me,
Okay,
I'm
see,
so
I know.
violent.
Why?
Okay.
No, you've
You're
beaten me.
all-
It's a problem. It's a problem.
You hit me in the eyes every
I've
time
never
you
touched you.
lied.
I've never touched you in my life, Sherman.
Liar.
No, I have
Liar.
not. They are witnesses, you idiot.
Wait, stop.
They are witnesses to that.
Let's ask a witness.
Chill.
Mom, I'm gonna ask
No, Mom, you don't.
Mom, I'm gonna ask you one question only. Did Earl run out of his room
Yes.
in a violent rage
Yes.
and attack me and punch me in the
Yes.
face? And
I've done that. I've done that.
And then
I've
you
punched
called
Sherman.
the police.
Dad,
No. Oh,
he's just gonna be a coward then. That's what the whole family is, though. I mean, I get beat down.
So, when you call people cowards, you mentally bully people. When you
mentally
people,
bully, I like how you look at me with that squint in your eye. Like, I mean, I just like to think about how crazy an asshole Sherman Schultz is. Because he beats me, and I hope someone on that phone right now hears me.
I had to take him in his car because he broke his hip.
His car!
I stayed in a
His
mud.
car! His car!
My car, Earl.
What, your
my
car? Your-
I drove him up in my car. You would know.
I
But you
wouldn't
never
know!
cared.
Oh, I don't care. I
No.
only care about
You
the
don't give a
fucking-
shit about Daryl.
Oh, yeah,
you
you-
watched him die.
I can't
they
wait.
said, Earl, come over and help us. I don't care about anybody's cancer. Spit on him. That's what you do, Earl. You destroy everything around you. God.
Hey, so if you didn't know by now, Dayton has psoriasis, which he shows in this video.
One more look at my skin on my floor. The psoriasis from my skin turns to ash. This is all accumulated psoriasis on the floor from my skin over the past, I'd say it's from over the past 5 years at least. But probably even some of this is from 6 years, because some of this maybe 6 years ago even, because I've just put off cleaning this room really. At least parts of this room I've put off cleaning really. And it's not that big of a bedroom, but it's a small bedroom. but it's really cluttered with all this sand from me.
He again brings up alleged beatings by his brother Sherman, as well as revealing that he's been building up this psoriasis ash for 5 years. 5 whole years, and he hasn't cleaned it up. It looks like he's been at the beach and all the sand has just clung to him. Going back to the real insanity, Dayton made a mini documentary on his brother yet again, and if you haven't noticed so far, Sherman is Dayton's biggest enemy, for some reason. Anyway, back to the point. In this video, I believe this is the first time we see Dayton's younger brother, Dale, who seems to be quite similar to Dayton. This video starts off with Dale and Sherman arguing about politics, with Dayton recording away from the argument next to his father. Dayton then includes himself in the argument when Dale starts shouting at Sherman, with their father essentially just standing there bewildered and even having to admit that they're all insane, which of course none of them really respond to, and all just call the other insane. It really is amazing that in this video that they are all shown to be extremely similar, all accusing each other of similar things, constantly raising their voices unnecessarily, and clearly being mentally ill. How all 3 of them are like this, I cannot tell you. Since I've spoken about Dayton's father a little bit, let me now talk about Dayton's mother. She appeared in the restaurant video earlier, although did very little. One video where she's done a lot though, was in this video called My Transphobic Bigot Mum Talking Down to Me.
I plan on wearing a dress, probably to press the house.
I don't, you know, what you wear is up to you. If you want to look weird, you can look weird. I'm just saying, do you know what you're going to do New Year's Eve?
I'm thinking about going to Preston Kraft's house.
Whose?
Preston's.
So, what time are you planning on going?
I have to get ready.
Huh?
I have to get ready. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's our anniversary, and you know, for New Year's Eve, we'd like to be able to go somewhere and do something. So that's why I need to know what your plans are, so that we can do something as well as get you wherever you're going to go.
Yeah.
So if you could find out, I assume you know where you're going, the address.
Yeah.
So if you could find out that, so that
This is what I'm wearing that she doesn't like. This is a dress I'm wearing right now. She disapproved because she hates transgender people and gay people. Especially men who wear dresses. She really hates it. She lets her older son beat me. So does her husband. They just don't like it.
Through Dayton's minor intelligence, literally the first thing she says, what you wear is up to you. Clearly, in Dayton's mind, she has massively abused him, when in reality she has done very little, yet it warrants him calling her transphobic, despite the fact he doesn't actually truly identify as a woman and still calls himself a man, admitting that he is a man wearing a dress, in addition to the fact he still has a beard. With Dayton, Dale's and Sherman's parents, I think there may be a bit of a Christian aspect here, as all of these, I believe, are and were in their 30s at the time of these videos, with Dayton stating that his parents were in their 70s in 2015. This could roughly show that the parents were in their 30s to 40s at the time of producing these children, and as seen with Christian, age is likely a factor in conditions such as autism, as well as likely many others in children. Now, I'm no longer going to cover the majority of the videos. At this point, you should get the gist of the situation revolving around Dayton at this point. It's like Groundhog Day, being stuck in a house full of lunatics. So now at this point, I will just bring up the bigger occurrences. Probably the most violent occurrence we've seen from Dayton is from the video titled Brother's Crazy Outburst at Me in front of Sister, Mom and Dad Part 1 of 3, where yet again, and unsurprisingly, it seems as though Dayton has started yet another argument with his family, angering Sherman. This escalates into Dayton smashing a glass of wine onto Sherman. Dayton then starts playing the victim, stating that Sherman beats him. Yes, that's right, Dayton, right after smashing a glass over Sherman's head, who doesn't seem to retaliate physically by the way, is the victim in the situation. Things began to ramp up in 2019, where Dayton uploaded a video on the 13th of March titled "My Dad Can't Drive Me to Cincy to Meet Christina Ricci." This video, as you can probably guess, is Dayton arguing with his father, due to the fact neither of them have a car and his father won't drive him using his mother's car.
Okay, Dad, I need to get into Cincinnati.
Okay,
by...
get me a car and I'll get you.
You have a car out there, you just drove me home.
I don't have a car. That is your mother's car. I don't have a car.
Oh my God. Why can't you drive me to Cincinnati?
I can. If you get me a car, I'll take you.
Dad, I need to get to Cincinnati by...
I will take you.
It would be really good to get there by noon.
If you get me a car, I'll take you.
I'm not going to find you a car to drive. You have a car in a driveway there.
Look at my lips. I don't have a car. I don't own a car.
Why can't you talk?
I can't afford to own a car.
Why, Dad, listen to me.
Social Security for $850 a month. That's not even half of what I have to spend on my kids.
You don't spend anything on your kids. You own who? Besides the one you pay below minimum wage to, who do you pay for?
Who?
I don't want to hear me mentioned. Talk about another one.
$20 an hour is not below minimum wage.
It's not even that anyway, so yes it is.
It isn't.
It's not that, Dad.
You're ignorant.
Nope, I'm relevant to the era.
Whilst this is normal for the Dayton household, interesting information was brought up by Dayton's dad, as he reveals that he pays Dayton $20 an hour to tidy up the house. Now, whilst I haven't brought it up before, another thing Dayton constantly brings up is that he is paid below minimum wage. Now, hopefully, you should be able to realise that $20 an hour to essentially do nothing is much better than minimum wage, being roughly over $10 more an hour. Something that could possibly make this ridiculous wage even more crazy is that Sherman alleges that he does all of Dayton's work for him, although this should be taken with a grain of salt due to them both being unreliable sources of information. On the 29th of April, the Revenge of the Cis podcast released a podcast with them covering Dayton on this episode. This drew a much larger audience to Dayton's channel, with him having less than 100 subscribers at the time of the podcast. The astute of you may have noticed that I stated that he wanted to meet Christina Ricci, the celebrity. And when people take note of a lolcow, the higher likelihood of them being trolled. So of course, people latched on to his love for Christina Ricci and began catfishing him. Dayton, being a lolcow, obviously fell for this obvious bait, a bit like Christian with Vanessa Hudgens, and got engaged to her on March 16th. Dayton would first acknowledge on a YouTube video on June 26th, revealing that these videos were intended for Christina as well as Dr. Phil. On the 1st of July, Dayton uploaded 3 videos, these being that an officer came to his house to check if he is okay. Now, as you know, Dayton isn't the most mentally secure person, so you would think that this would be a powder keg ready to explode. However, this surprisingly doesn't happen. Dayton meets with the officer and is relatively lucid in comparison to his other videos. The majority of his conversation with the officer consists of Dayton talking about his psoriasis and that he is struggling with it. In the second part, Dayton talks about how his family isn't most approving of how he dresses and that his brother is crazy, but leaves it at that. He ends the conversation by again talking about his psoriasis. Now, there is something that Dayton brings up often in his videos that he has seemingly forgot to mention in this conversation with the police officer. If you are being beaten by your brother, who is twice the size of Dayton by the way, then why wouldn't you bring it up to a police officer? Surely that would be the focal point of your conversation, not your skin condition. This meeting definitely suggests that Dayton has never been attacked by his brother, although it is likely we will never get definitive evidence, nor evidence greater than this. Also, this officer was willing, in multiple instances, to help Dayton, with services that could help him as well as travel, although Dayton refuses all of these. Dayton thinks that Christina Ricci and Dr. Phil are monitoring him, and makes the next few videos with their names in the title. A troll texted him stating that a celebrity was monitoring him, and that Dr. Phil was interested in him. Obviously, Dayton assumed that this was Christina or one of her associates, and was further dragged into this delusion, barely even considering that it was in fact a troll and not Christina. However, this would not continue for too much longer, and Dayton would upload his final public video on the 9th of July 2019 with the title "Older Sister and Older Brother Friendly Conversation After His Repeated Assaults on Me." From now on, the videos would be unlisted due to the trolls having Dayton's address, which is actually a smart move on his part, if people didn't manage to get these videos anyway and he wouldn't still post them. In one of these videos, we start off in the end of what Dayton calls a fight, where he alleges that his mother and father pushed him onto the bed and threw money at him. Dayton, being the insane agent of chaos that he is, then reinitiated the conflict by trying to condemn his mother and father's behaviour. This is then the first time we see Dayton's parents get angry at him, with his father alleging that he used some inappropriate language against his mother, although neither of them state what this profanity was, so the severity of the insult cannot be understood. Although what can be seen is that Dayton's father got so angry during the duration of this video that he actually growled, which actually makes Dayton say something funny.
You better hear my words, sir! You need to change your behavior entirely, or you don't see your grandkids. It becomes very simple, because those children are in a dangerous environment around you. Then you have to stop being that way. You have to listen to these words. You don't have power over it. That is horrible, Dad. What is wrong with you? You just made stupid growling sounds? You need to grow up.
Something I've neglected to mention at this point is Dayton's social media accounts, both on Facebook and Instagram. For the majority of what I've covered so far, there hasn't really been anything of note, although there have been a couple instances of funny things that he has decided to put up on there, such as this post. However, with any new videos being unlisted when uploaded, most information could only be gathered from these sources. One of these included an instance in September 2019 where Sherman was hospitalised. Of course, Dayton being Dayton was a true victim here, as proper communication wasn't established with him, which is obviously more important than a family member being in the hospital. On a funnier note, with Dayton, it is a reoccurring joke to compare him to Buffalo Bill, the character from The Silence of the Lambs, due to the similar appearance of the two and the fact that they both like to wear dresses. Well, this comparison came to Dayton's attention, who really wasn't happy with this, stating, "Society is still so consistently eager to accept that men who love women's clothing and happy to identify as a woman and love women are somehow worse than your racist and transphobic as fuck ancestors." On October 17, 2019, a user named Gem City Jackass created an account and posted on Dayton's Kiwi Farms thread. Now, before I get into this further, I don't believe this user has been verified and could therefore just be some randomer on the internet, so take it with a grain of salt. The main thing to take from this post is that Dayton, who he calls Earl throughout, dressed as Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean film series regularly, and not only that, apparently acted as him, using the same mannerisms and speech, which is just weird to say the least. Nothing of note happened to Dayton during 2020. However, at the start of 2021, in early January, some big news came out, with Dayton complaining that his brother, who he still calls his abuser, needed a liver transplant. As Sherman's condition worsened and his parents went to visit him in hospital, all Dayton was interested in was having a birthday party at his house, as he could get a free pizza from Domino's and had some beer at his house. However, on the 19th of January 2021, Sherman Anthony Schultz passed away at the age of 42. Not that Dayton particularly cared. instead berating his mother for not caring about him. Dayton also apparently did not show up to the funeral, so that's nice. This was the last piece of information of real note about Dayton, so the next thing I will do is go a bit deeper into the characters of this story. But before I do that, there is a few things that I've left out, just due to them being not too interesting, as well as having little evidence for. And these are that he has been planning to open a boutique for multiple years now, with a stupid premise that things are free, I think, which is obviously not a good business practice. This is one of the reasons he has been allegedly starving himself, by the way. He's been doing this to save money, even though his parents offer him food, so it is his choice to eat less than he feels sufficient. The final thing I will bring up is that Dayton often uses his parents' credit cards, spending large amounts of money on stupid things, especially possible things for his boutique that will never open. To begin the end of this video, I just want to briefly go over the members of the Schultz family, as it is evident that they aren't the most normal people, as well as the effect Dayton has had on them. Firstly, I'll talk about Dale, who I believe only appears in one video. From this one video, as I said earlier, he seems to be quite similar to Dayton, being an instigator to Sherman's reactor, as he begins shouting at him during a minor political argument, although he does seem to be relatively sane in comparison, as he does not appear again, as it appears he's moved away from the Schultz household and went to Seattle. Dayton's sister, whilst not appearing in the forefront of any of these videos, is in the background a lot and visits the household often with her husband and child, as she only lives across the street from the household. Whilst again she doesn't provide much insanity herself, I do have to question her judgment on bringing her child over so often, due to Dayton's constant creeping and tendency to start screaming matches with the family. This likely could have ended up worse due to one of the videos I brought up earlier, where Dayton smashes a glass over Sherman, whilst the nephew was in a relatively close proximity. Now on to probably the most tragic figures in this story, Dayton's parents. The parents have clearly had a lot to deal with Sherman, and more specifically Dayton. Often there were shouting matches between the two of them, which would have led to an atmosphere of unease within the house. Not only just the two of them fighting, Dayton would fight with them too, and it appears that they have only broke once during the video I showed earlier where the father growls. This seems to be still continuing with Dayton's horrible actions toward his parents, even though more recently, earlier in the year, Dayton revealed that his mother had a stroke and his father fell over and now needs a cane. But this does not stop Dayton from still playing the victim. Dayton's poor behaviour does not stop here. As I mentioned before, he uses their credit cards, paying extraordinary amounts on junk and then complaining that he is being paid below minimum wage, when he is being paid well above minimum wage and lives at home for free, taking their hospitality for granted. However, they do seem to be enabling this behaviour to an extent. Dayton is still paid for very little work and still continues to do what he does. The only time it is evident that a threat was given to Dayton to leave was again in the video where the father growls. However, clearly this was not followed up on. Obviously love plays a role in not kicking him out, however, such a large drain on your finances and mental health should overrule that, and for their own, as well as his sister's benefit, he should probably be kicked out. Sherman is definitely the second most impactful figure in this story, and there is a lot of things that I've missed about Sherman, so I'll quickly cover them here. Sherman claimed to be a former boxer as well as a fight promoter, although there is very little evidence of that, and if he was that successful, he probably wouldn't have been living at home. He also appeared to be an alcoholic, which clearly affected his liver, which appears to be his cause of death. He was also planning to run for mayor in 2021, although he was obviously unable to do that. In Dayton's videos, Sherman was very clearly reactionary to Dayton's instigating, and he was clearly very quick to anger. As to why this is, I don't know, but to a point it is understandable, as Dayton's behaviour continued for years, blaming him for attacking his younger brother, who he likely loved. Now, On to Dayton himself. I've gone over the things he has done, so they shouldn't need to be reiterated. So now I'm going to do a little bit of armchair psychology. So now I just want to state that the following will all be my speculation, and in no way am I professional. I'm just an idiot interested in people on the internet. Firstly, I'm going to start with probably my most controversial point, which is that I do not think that Dayton is trans, and neither do I think he believes he is either. Throughout the videos he has made, a large portion of the time he does not refer to himself as a woman, and often just refers to himself as a man. Even more so, a man in a dress. And the only real times he brings up gender is when he refers to himself as Sherman's sister. In addition to this, he still maintains a beard and shows off his chest often, which obviously a woman wouldn't do. There are possibly two explanations as to why I think he does this. The first of these is that he just hates his body and he struggles with psoriasis. This makes more sense if we believe Gem City Jackass, who states that he dressed and acted like Jack Sparrow, which just shows he wants to be anyone but Earl. I'd also like to bring up that he brings up that he's trans more than any other identification and uses the name Cade, which isn't feminine either. Secondly, and more simply, as evidenced in his videos, he seems to be using that he is identifying as trans in order to become more of a victim, as whilst Dayton's parents don't seem to care, it is possible as they are a right-leaning Christian family that they aren't completely supportive. So Dayton is able to use that to his advantage and be allegedly persecuted throughout his house. What is wrong with Dayton? I cannot say whatsoever. Whilst I have used terms such as lunacy and insanity, I don't know what could be wrong with Dayton. In the videos where the police come to visit, Dayton was clearly able to gain some lucidity, so he isn't so far gone, which also revealed that he is willingly and knowingly lying about the things that Sherman did to him. So to me, it's just so inexplicable about what's wrong with him. The simple approach to an explanation for this is that it's all just for attention, although for me this is a bit too far-fetched to destroy your family life and your prospects just for this attention. In addition to this, he's kept most of his videos private, so again, I don't accept this explanation. If anybody has any ideas, I would really like to read them. As for now, that seems to be the end of Dayton's story. He will not change, he will not succeed in any of his attempts, and he will continue to get worse. However, at the rate this has been going, this story will continue slowly going on, with little leaks coming out every so often, being a repeat of what we have seen numerous times at this point, with Dayton playing the victim whilst making the lives of those around him worse, continuing to fall into his own delusions.